Welcome back. 6:55 on this Monday morning. Here now your top stories. Twin Cities Road west of Highway 99 shut down. Crews working to repair train tracks in the area. Closure starts just a half-mile west of 99, stretching all the way down to Christensen Road. And this is going to last until Friday. The U.S. and the European Union have reached a preliminary trade deal after a high-stakes meeting at the president's golf course in Scotland. Full details are still being worked out, but the deal calls for a 15% tariff on most EU exports to the U.S., with a few exceptions. A tentative agreement has been reached between union leaders and Safeway stores across the region. This means stores will operate as usual this morning. The agreement promises wage increases, better health care, and pension benefits. Before we go, overlooked diet foods making a surprising comeback, like cottage cheese sales up 20% in the U.S. compared to a year ago, according to a market research firm named Circana. The increase is attributed to influencers who've created new recipes with cottage cheese, and they posted them on social media apps like TikTok. And what I learned about you today is that you don't like cottage cheese with fruit. It's like, I don't even know you.
I don't know. I just think it's just good on its own. I did learn one thing, though. You know those egg bites that are really popular, like at Starbucks? The secret ingredient to those is cottage cheese.
I did not know that. I'm glad you came out here for the two-shot close.
That's all I got.
All right, be sure to join us following this over on ABC10 Plus. We're going to bring you the latest news, weather, more traffic, and traffic updates from 7 to 8 a.m. We are live with the news from 7 to 8 a.m. on streaming ABC10 Plus. Beautiful day out there at Folsom Lake.
You know what's funny is the weather's been so nice and mild. I'm sure some boaters out there are like, I want a little bit of heat every once in a while because that's why we got the boat. But you know what? The heat's coming, but only into the low 90s today.
ABC 10 Morning News at 7 starts now.
Starts now on streaming. That's right. We're on ABC 10 Plus. Glad you're here with us on the interwebs. I'm Walt Gray. Let's go over to Rob now with today's weather forecast. Rob, just an absolutely beautiful morning. We've been spoiled lately. High temperatures like 88 in July. And you're saying a little bit warmer today, but seasonable.
Yeah, this is a normal July day.
Okay.
I remember last year, we would have a quote unquote cool down, and we go from like 108 to like 102. And that was a huge deal. Hey, everybody, rearrange your schedule. It's going to be a great day. What we've been going through recently is truly remarkable, exceptional, rare, enjoyable. There's a bunch of different ways that you could describe it, but it is absolutely one of the coolest Julys on record, and that is a fact. And we're going to continue roughly on that path. Now, the sun is rising. It's a new day, but today we're going back up to normal. So today, when I show you the calendar later on, blue is cooler than average, green is average. We're going up to a green. Big deal. And then we're going back to the 80s. Yes, more blue days on tap to round out the middle of this week and to really squeeze in the last few days in July. Now, this upcoming weekend will be in the low 90s. There's going to be a range because it's mostly wind related. But overall, the forecast is still going to continue to be a good one as we start to move into August. Now, essentially for lower elevations, we're going to be dry and warm. That's just the higher elevations that have that daily threat of thunderstorms. But it's really refined. It's just far northern California, east side of the Sierra for the most part. It's not going to be very widespread like it has been over the weekend. Certainly on Friday, it was really busy. Okay, with that said, we've got temperatures that are nice and cool, 50s and 60s. We are going to get a delta breeze. So let's just say all of a sudden it's in the low 90s and you're like, ugh, I still don't like this. I want it to cool down. You're going to get your breeze in the evening. It's going to be a nice way to end the day with 80s and 70s as the sun is starting to set right there. So we're in good shape. Just not a very strong delta breeze. Highs in the low 90s, we can absolutely handle that. And folks, look where we're going the next 7 days. We're actually going to see another drop to the 80s, like I mentioned. And then for the weekend, a high near 90 and your morning still in the 50s. So I think you'll like the next 7 days. In fact, I think you'll like the next 10 days. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Now is about the time we start to see a lot more cars on the road. It's 7:02, and we're going to go ahead and get a check on traffic with CHP officer Trista Drake. So Trista, how's it looking right now?
Good morning. Like you said, we're starting to get a little bit busy out here on our roadways. Westbound 80 at Riverside, we have a solo vehicle crash. It is partially blocking the fast lane, so causing some slow traffic in that region. Southbound 5 at Arena Boulevard, we have another solo vehicle collision there versus the guardrail, and it's blocking the shoulder there with emergency crews responding. Then we have reports of a ladder that was dropped in the roadway. Westbound 80 at Truxell, looks like it's in the 1 and 2 lanes. And southbound 99 at Hammer Lane in the 2 and 3 lanes, it looks like some vacuum parts or a vacuum cleaner was dropped in the lanes there. Again, reminding you, please secure your loads so we don't have to deal with these hazards in the morning. They're pretty dangerous if you're commuting that way. Also seeing those slowdowns westbound 50 getting onto the causeway all the way through West Sacramento. Actually, it's really slow going. It's been slow all morning. Still seeing that heavy traffic there. So if you're making a commute into the West Sacramento region, you're going to need some extra time there. It's very slow going. Back to you.
All right, Trista, thank you. Wow. All right, the search continues this morning for a mother and her baby who disappeared while traveling to Elk Grove. 36-year-old Whisper Owen and her 8-month-old daughter Sandra have not been seen since the 15th of this month. We're told they were driving a silver 2006 Chevy Trailblazer with a damaged driver's side headlight. They left Fresno about 5 p.m. on the 15th. A traffic camera spotted the SUV about 3 hours later in Atwater near Schaefer and Bellevue Roads. They were supposed to be heading back to Elk Grove, but they never made it. Again, this is July 15th. So far, no clear reason for their disappearance or where they may be. If you see them or the vehicle, please call 911. And this morning, new video from Sacramento police showing the moments leading up to an officer-involved shooting earlier this month. Here's what happened. Body camera shows officers trying to negotiate with a man armed with a sword. He reportedly called 911 saying he wanted to kill his friend, then die by police. After 30 minutes of talks, the man stood up, drew the sword, and appeared to advance towards the officers. Excuse me. Less lethal rounds were first used. Then an officer opened fire. The suspect is in critical condition and faces charges. In Citrus Heights, police searching for suspects involved in a stabbing at Fireside Lane Bowling Alley. This happened yesterday afternoon. 2 men were stabbed and are expected to survive. Police say this happened just after 12 inside Fireside Lanes. A fight broke out between 2 groups of people. The suspects reportedly fled the scene. Police are investigating and say they'll provide more information as soon as it comes in. On to other news of the morning. Anybody firing up the grill this summer already knows burgers and steaks are pricey. The latest numbers show prices have climbed actually to record highs. Let's get to ABC10's Candace Red with more details. Candace, if I'm going to go get me a brisket sandwich, I'm going to be paying extra for it.
You definitely want to make sure you have your cash ready to fork over. Well, beef prices are rising, and experts say consumers shouldn't expect much relief anytime soon either. Well, we did look at government data, and it shows that the average price of a pound of ground beef rose to $6.12 in June. Wow, well, that's up nearly 12% from a year ago. The average price of all uncooked beef steaks is $11.49 per pound. We're talking about an 8% jump in price. Well, beef prices have been steadily rising over the past 20 years. That's because the supply of cattle remains tight while beef still remains popular. Well, we spoke with business owners in Stockton about how the market is changing.
The reason for the increase is the shortage on the cattle. There's also an increase on the food for the cattle. So if it's costing more to feed the cattle, that increase is going to be impacted on the consumer.
Every person that comes in here has been impacted by the economy, and the beef prices are just really kind of the catalyst for, I think, what we have to raise prices.
Well, right now, market conditions are a simple combination of high demand and low supply. Now, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the cattle herd in the U.S. has been steadily shrinking for decades. There are about 86 million cattle in the U.S., and that's the lowest number since, get this, 1951. By the way, experts say there are other things contributing to high beef prices, like drought and weather conditions, and even uncertainty over tariffs. What?
The tariffs thing may work itself out at some point, but not enough cattle, lowest since 1951.
These are the issues.
That's probably not going to change much, right? So, yeah, you go to the store, and I like to get like the value pack of steaks, and that's not happening right now.
You might want to become a vegetarian, Walt. I was just thinking it.
You're right. I should. For all the right reasons. Candace, thank you for the story and the diet advice. All right, speaking of all that, Safeway stores across the region operating as usual right now. Union leaders striking a tentative agreement with the company over the weekend. Strike was a real possibility. So the agreement prevents a strike. It would have impacted thousands of workers and dozens of stores in the region. According to the union representing Safeway, the agreement promises wage increases, better health care coverage, and pension benefits. They say more details will be shared as the ratification process gets rolling here. Ahead of the deal, we talked to a union member, and he, like many others, we're ready to strike.
Quite honestly now, especially in California, we're dealing with wage scales that are, inadequate for the cost of living in the areas that we live. A lot of us can't afford to shop at the stores we work at. And, that's a big change from what used to be a dignified middle-class job.
He must be the Safeway podcaster. Safeway responded saying in a statement, quote, "We're pleased to have reached a fair and equitable tentative agreement with the UFCW locals in Northern California." And this morning, a new trade deal has been reached between the U.S. and the European Union. The deal coming just a few days before President Trump's deadline of August the 1st to get this done. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio is in Washington with a potential impact on American families.
Good morning. Both sides have decided on a 15% tariff on most EU goods, but experts warn this will still cost Americans more money for items including German cars and pharmaceuticals. This morning, the U.S. and the European Union reach a preliminary trade deal after a high-stakes meeting at President Trump's golf course in Scotland. The full details are still being worked out, but the deal calls for a 15% tariff on most EU exports to the U.S. with few exceptions. President Trump says the EU, which is made up of 27 countries, will also buy $750 billion in American energy and invest $600 billion in the U.S. And he says there will be no tariffs on American exports to Europe. The president of the European Commission calling it a huge deal that followed tough negotiations. Despite the tariffs being much lower than the 30% Trump had previously threatened if no deal was reached by August 1st, experts warn that these tariffs will still increase prices for U.S. companies and consumers. Prices will still rise on popular European products that previously had low or no tariffs, including French perfume, German cars, and the EU's largest export to the U.S., pharmaceuticals. The deal comes as the latest Marquette University Law School poll shows a majority of Americans, 65%, disapprove of the president's handling of tariffs. President Trump will meet with the British Prime Minister today in Scotland to finalize a trade deal outlined earlier this year. At the same time, U.S. and Chinese leaders are meeting in Sweden for more trade talks and are expected to extend the current pause on tariffs. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Nicole, thank you. Coming up on ABC 10 streaming, when you're on the go, are you keeping your personal info protected? We share some helpful reminders on what to know before your next flight. Mark?
Thousands of people from all over the world descended upon Pittsburgh for the World Champion Beard and Mustache Championships, but 2 from Northern California took home top honors. Coming up in a moment, we're going to get to know him and her. There's a story behind it. You'll get to know it as ABC 10 Morning News continues.
To hunt for charging outlets at the airport or chase down a Wi-Fi signal to send a text. But with technology being so available now, the TSA urges you to be careful as you hit the skies.
Our sources, the Transportation Security Administration and the Federal Communications Commission. Many airports now have USB ports built into seating areas, but in a social media post, the TSA reminds travelers to avoid plugging in at least directly. According to authorities, hackers can install malware at USB ports. The FCC says this is known as juice jacking. Experts say it's safer to bring a TSA-compliant power brick, battery pack, or charging-only cable and plug your devices there instead. Unsecured public Wi-Fi networks and Bluetooth connections can also be a danger, especially if you're ordering something online or sharing personal information like credit card numbers. The FCC warns that if you're not careful, hackers can quickly access your connection and get the information stored on your device and in online accounts. Both the TSA and FCC suggest staying on websites that start with HTTPS because they have a secure connection and keep your data safe. With your Verify, I'm Megan Brown.
Time now for dollars and cents, and just in time to beat the president's August 1st deadline, a new trade deal with the EU. President Trump says most imports from Europe will get a 15% tariff. He also says the EU is committing to buying $750 billion worth of American energy. But experts say prices will still rise on popular European products that previously had low or no tariffs, including French perfume, German cars, and the EU's largest export to the U.S., pharmaceuticals. That agreement helping to kick up stock futures overnight. Traders also waiting to see what the Fed will do with interest rates this week. President Trump has been leaning hard on the Fed Chair Jerome Powell to cut rates, but experts think when the two-day meeting wraps up Wednesday, the Fed will hold interest rates steady. Two major railroads could be on track for a merger. Bloomberg now says a deal for Union Pacific to buy Norfolk Southern could be wrapped up in the next few days. It would create the first modern coast-to-coast railroad. And the fashion label Marc Jacobs may be up for sale. Reuters says its owner, French luxury giant LVMH, is in talks with multiple potential buyers for the label, which could be worth up to $1 billion. All right, let's check and see how Wall Street is reacting to the start of the new week. The markets have been open for about 45 minutes or so, and the market is relatively flat. We could be getting to 45,000. We'll see what happens the rest of the week with the Fed having a two-day meeting. Could California redraw the lines of its voting districts? Governor Newsom is willing to explore that option depending on what happens in Texas. President Trump recently called on Texas lawmakers to redraw U.S. House maps to get 5 new GOP stronghold seats to help ensure that Congress maintains Republican control after the 2026 midterms. Republicans can only afford to lose 4 seats nationwide during the incoming midterms.
I imagine many folks are asking here in California, what do the politics of Texas have to do with the politics here in California? The answer is everything. Everything now is made clear and vivid. We have an administration that wants to roll back most of the progress of the last half century.
Democratic leaders in Illinois and New Jersey have echoed the governor's sentiment, saying they're willing to redraw maps to make elections more favorable to Democratic candidates if Texas continues on its current path. Coming up, we're going to have a look at all the top stories we're following to help get you out the door. Stay with us. This is an ABC 10 morning news update. I'm Walt Gray. Twin Cities Road west of Highway 99 is shut down. Crews are working to repair train tracks in the area. Closure starts just a half-mile west of Highway 99, stretching all the way down to Christensen Road. This will last all week till Friday. A new surf resort could be coming to Placer County. It's called the Alchemy Surf Resort. It'll feature a surf center, hotel bungalows, and recreational locations. The project's still in its early stages. It needs to be approved by the county. Project leaders say they hope to break ground there by 2027. Beef prices are rising. Experts say consumers shouldn't expect much relief anytime soon. Market conditions are a simple combination of high demand and low supply. There are other things contributing to high beef prices like weather conditions and uncertainty over tariffs. More news to come.
All right, good morning, folks. We are on our way to a normal day for July weather. What is that again? I don't remember because usually it's every day in the 80s, right? Well, it looks like this. Average high 93. We're going to be about that range later on this afternoon between 4 and 5. But we're going to get a nice delta breeze again. It's going to be clear, refreshing. This also keeps the air pollution issues in check, so we're in good shape there. So I really like what I see. The only thing not shown there is that, yes, there's a slight chance for a few random isolated showers and thunderstorms in this area. But most of that's the eastern Sierra. Look at this. Another dip in temperatures. It's not a huge one, but we're going back into the 80s for Wednesday and Thursday, and then low 90s all the way into next week. So still staying away from triple-digit temperatures for the rest of July and the very beginning of August. Okay, there's not a crash here. There's just a lot of cars trying to get from Sacramento out toward Davis, and there's a bottleneck.
Thank you for joining us on ABC10 Plus. I'm Walt Gray. Developing this morning, investigators looking at what caused a plane to crash off of California's central coast. It killed 3 people. Private plane crashed late Saturday night into the ocean off Monterey Bay. Witnesses reported hearing the engine rev and then a splash. The twin-engine plane had taken off from San Carlos en route to Monterey. National Transportation Safety Board is obviously looking into what happened here. And over in Southern California, a Southwest flight from LA to Las Vegas suddenly dropped nearly 500 feet 6 minutes after takeoff from Burbank Friday night. The pilot received a warning from the collision avoidance system and took action to avoid hitting another aircraft, a Hawker Hunter, a former British military jet. As the plane leveled off the Southwest plane, passengers say the pilot explained what had happened. The seatbelt sign was still on, good for the passengers, but drink service had just started, not good for 2 flight attendants who were hurt during the sudden drop. Southwest working with the FAA to figure out what was going on with that other plane. And new video this morning showing passengers sliding down an emergency chute, escaping a smoking American Airlines plane at Denver Airport. The flight was set to take off Saturday to Miami, reportedly had the problem with the landing gear. Passengers say the plane was speeding towards takeoff when they heard a loud pop and the pilot slammed on the brakes. No significant injuries were reported. Fireworks exploding inside a Modesto garage Saturday night, sparking a small fire on El Pasado Drive. Firefighters quickly contained the flames, which did not spread to the home. No one was hurt. The bomb squad is out there investigating what was going on with the explosives in the garage. And in Sacramento, this is pretty unusual video. An SUV floating down the American River. Apparently, a person was launching kayaks along La Riviera Drive when their SUV slipped out of gear into the river and floated away. No one was hurt, just appears to be a mishap. No idea where that SUV is right now. Hopefully they pulled it out. As July nears its end, so does summer for thousands of students. We're talking about back to school already. Here are the school districts that have classes starting this week. Lodi Unified, which includes parts of Stockton, has the earliest start date. They're back in school tomorrow. Stockton Unified is Thursday, and then kids from Tracy, Manteca, Ripon, and Roseville next week, all back in class. Used to be the traditional, Rob, you know, after Labor Day, the day after Labor Day, and now everybody then it was mid-August, now it's end of July. I don't know, it's crazy out there.
Why? My question, but why? I mean, I guess it's for school testing and some sports to line and stuff like that, but I don't know, call me old school. I like having a nice, long, full summer.
They get out, well, for the kids that are going back early, generally as a rule, they're getting out earlier.
Right.
So, you know, it used to be you got out like mid-June, went back after Labor Day. Now I think they're getting out mid-May to late May and getting back in around the 1st of August. So I don't know, I'm not the superintendent.
But hey, consider it.
Yeah, exactly.
Consider it.
Might be the next gig.
Honorary superintendent. Okay, getting into our weather forecast, what we are going to see over the next several days is something normal for this time of year. Now, we've seen anything but that for weeks now, with highs in the 80s. It's been routine, just amazing, and can't believe this is happening kind of weather for the month of July. But this is where we are right now. The sun is rising. We're looking at some really great, beautiful conditions out there. And look at this. The last time we hit highs near 100 degrees was in the middle of July. We've just racked up days and days with highs in the 80s in places like Sacramento. We've only had one triple-digit day, and the average high is in the 80s. That's the average high for the month. Now, what's amazing about this list is that in recent memory, you just can't think of one, right? Maybe 2011 is somewhat recent, but still, over the last 20 years or so, at least 10 years or so, it just has not happened like this. But then look at this. In 99, 2000, 2001, so 3 years in a row, it had even cooler months in July. So this is a remarkable stretch. Any way you cut it, especially considering that last year was the third hottest July on record. It was just absolutely brutal. So we've been rewarded by something different. Now it's going to be dry and warm as we move through the rest of the days of July. We're going back to normal temperatures for this time of year in the low 90s. But check this out. We've got one thing that's been very active lately. Sierra showers and thunderstorms, even a lot of accumulating hail. It's been very busy in the mountains. Then it started to weaken a little bit. We've got a couple more days where we could see something, but notice how most of the green is in Nevada. That means it could start in the Sierra and then very quickly move out of the area. Okay, as far as what we can see wind-wise, we're looking at conditions that are going to be breezy this afternoon. Not a huge deal, but I would just say a pretty standard delta breeze. This also helps with pollution. It keeps us away from the really nasty, stagnant air that we can get this time of year. And as of right now, we're looking at temperatures in the 50s and 60s. A great way to start your day. Highs in the low 90s. Low 90s are something different than what we've seen in the last several days because we've been nice and cool and mild, but this is normal for this time of year. And we're going to see temperatures in the 80s in the foothills and 70s and 80s up high. So overall, your day is pretty good. I mean, anything before 2 or 3, you're in good shape, no issues. Then it gets kind of warm, but that's normal. The records are way above triple digits, and we're not even going to go anywhere near that. In fact, I don't see any triple-digit days for the final days of July and the first week in August. Now, sure, we are at some point going to start to get hot again. That's just, it's going to happen. We still have all of August, which is usually still almost as hot as July. September usually has many days, if not a week or so more of hot weather. And even last year, October had lots of days in the triple digits. So I don't want to jinx it, but basically we've got some time left on the clock where we could get back to some hot weather, but it's not going to happen over the next 10. Now, if you're hitting the roads anytime soon, a lot of just cars and just bottleneck traffic going from Sacramento through West Sac over into the Causeway. It's just been really slow all morning long. That's pretty much kind of a standard thing, but if you want to know, is it bad? Yeah, it is, how it usually is. Also, the Tracy traffic conditions there. You know, they recently, several years ago, added a lane, but it's still not quite enough. There is a lot of truck traffic, commuter traffic, you name it, all bottled up there. Tracy a little more, 44 minutes. About an hour ago, it was 51, so things are kind of getting better. Walt?
All right, Mr. Weather and Traffic, thank you. Now to national news out of Arkansas. A manhunt underway for the person suspected of killing a couple in a state park with their young children nearby. With the latest details, ABC's Allison Cossack.
Overnight, a manhunt underway to find the person who killed a couple hiking in this state park with their 2 young daughters.
And we suspect the suspect to have injuries due to the witness seeing the suspect stab one of them.
43-year-old Clinton Brink and his wife Kristen were found dead on a remote trail at Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas Saturday afternoon. Authorities launching a double homicide investigation, but not commenting on the manner or circumstances of their deaths. They say the couple's 7- and 9-year-old girls were not injured.
Is this an opportunity homicide that this parent killer came upon them, decided to kill them for whatever reason, not the children, and leave? Or it's someone connected to these victims, whether it's crime, whether it's extortion, whatever it might be, but they were basically targeted for whatever reason.
6 hours reportedly passed between when police were called to the park and when they released a statement about a suspect on the run.
It could be just as simple as that they had some decent leads to begin with, and they really wanted to work those before they talk to the public. Now, it is strange from the standpoint because of the public safety aspect.
Police say the suspect is a white man with a medium build who carried a black backpack and wore fingerless gloves. He was seen driving a dark sedan, possibly a Mazda. They say electrical or duct tape was covering the license plate. As for the victims, investigators say they had recently moved to Arkansas from out of state. Their family saying Clinton and Kristen died heroes, protecting their little girls, and they deserve justice. They will forever live on in all of our hearts.
Allison Cossack on that story, and we're getting a new look at a proposed surf resort in Placer County. It's called the Alchemy Surf Resort. Yes, surfing in Placer County. It'll be located in the new Placer One Master Plan development off Fitterment Road near Sunset Boulevard. It'll be part of a larger Placer One community. The Inland Surf Company recently submitted a new application. That's what it's going to look like when it's done. That's pretty amazing. They submitted the plans. Among the key features, a surf center, hotel, bungalows, and recreational locations.
One of the reasons, we are feeling grateful for being here is that there's so much that is coming to the north of us, right? There is so much development that's going to happen.
Project still in the early stages. It needs to be approved by the county. Project leaders say they hope to break ground by 2027. Herringer Estates will be opening a new wine lounge, and that'll be in Old Town Sacramento. The grand opening of the Parliament Wine Lounge will be Saturday, August 9th. The bar will be located just across from the Pony Express statue. It'll offer tasting flights, wines by the glass, wine cocktails, and more. The wine lounge will be open Monday through Thursday from 12 to 7, as well as Friday and Saturday from 12 to 8. Coming up on ABC10 streaming, you'll get the chance to see a traveling group of super pets, what makes them unique and why Hollywood wants them in movies. Mark S. Allen, good morning.
Good Monday morning. The 2025 World Beard and Mustache Championships are over. The gold medalists are right here. Coming up in a moment, you're going to get to know him and her, take a look at how it went down, how you could be a part of it next time, how you could enter it, what this means, and how it makes the world a better place. As ABC 10 Morning News continues, we will be right back. Happy Monday. Welcome back to ABC 10 Morning News. Thanks for joining us on the ABC 10 Plus app. So you may have not known, the World Championship Beard and Mustache Competition wrapped up. Two of the winners, though people traveled from all over the world to Pennsylvania to make this happen, two are from our own backyard. Let's get to know the players and also he and she. Lots of questions, lots of answers. Hi.
Hi.
All right, so name, title, where are you from, what you won?
Trevor Mustafa from Sacramento. I won Best in Show at the World Beard and Mustache Championship.
Sweet. And over here?
I'm Crystal Davis, and I'm from Modesto, California, and I won the first place in Creative Mustache.
Women in a beard and mustache competition. We're all for it. Lots of questions about that. So back to you. How long you been growing this?
I've been growing for about 2.5 years.
How long you been competing?
I've been competing for about 11 years.
Yeah, take a look at the action. So people do come from all over the world. This is a huge competition. The World Championships are every 2 years. Is there a lot of pressure?
Oh, yeah, it's the biggest thing in bearding for sure.
Got it. We notice a guy in a Speedo. We noticed you didn't wear a Speedo, but I'm guessing people get creative in that way. They're trying every little thing.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you see people in all kinds of different costumes and wearing all kinds of silly things. It's a lot of fun.
Got it. And the upside of this is there a cash prize? I know you get a sweet award, but like also it's a fundraiser.
Yeah, it's all for charity. There's no cash prize or anything in it for us. It's all money that we help raise for charity. This year it was for the Pittsburgh Children's Hospital.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so back here, Crystal, how long have you been competing?
For about 10 years now.
Got it. This is not your natural hair that we're looking at right now. You created this how?
Yeah, so I made this out of EVA foam. So it's really whatever your creative heart can imagine, you can put it into fruition and make a beard.
Yeah, that's awesome. And why do you think they decided to have a women's competition in this beard and mustache?
Well, there's so many women that are supporting, our friends, our fellas, and we're all just there anyway, so why not make it fun for us too?
All right, that's awesome. If you're watching right now, this award that you won, it's a sweet. They use skateboard tops as the prize. That's kind of cool. What titles did you win in?
For this one, I won first place in the craft creative mustache, but I also won in Denver, Colorado in 2016 for the Great American Championships.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, local coalitions are involved. So if you've ever thought that you want to be involved, you want to compete, go ahead and list your outlet, your coalition.
Mustache and Beard Social Club from Sacramento.
And the Modesto Beard and Mustache Coalition, and then you can always find any competition on thebeardcalendar.com.
Yeah, you guys do great work, raising a lot of money for suicide prevention too, and a lot of other outlets. So if you think that's something you want to be a part of, someone who's furry, I'll link all that information to ABC10.com. Nice. Walt, lots of questions, lots of stones left unturned.
Yeah, we visited earlier, but for Trevor, how could he improve on that? Just let it grow? Does he trim it?
Yeah, your work is never done. How do you improve on this?
Just keep growing and seeing what happens, seeing where my beard takes me.
Got it. And how do we improve on this over here?
I mean, just use your creativity, and if you ever have questions and need to reach out, I'm always happy to help any male or female that wants to learn how to make a beard.
Yeah, and I love kind of how this came to be for her. She was in a severe car accident, probably a lot going on, and needed something to make you happy, and you stumbled into this.
I found bearding, and it saved me from being, a bump on the couch. I started making beards and going to competition and met amazing people who became my best friends, and now I'm 10 years deep, and I couldn't imagine my life without it.
Awesome. Hey, Walt, how about we do a competition, just me and you? And maybe me, you, and Rob. What do you say?
I think you've had beard before, and your beard looks good, but you keep it pretty tight, right? Length is important for Trevor, right? Abundance of beard.
Yeah, abundance of beard. And like I said, I'm like a Sasquatch, like a Wolverine. If I stop shaving tomorrow, I'm going to look like Lincoln. How long, is there anything you would give us tips on? Growing your beard, grooming, maintaining?
Just making sure that you get a lot of rest and making sure that you eat the right kind of food.
Nutrition in bearding. Who knew? That's awesome.
What is the right kind of food to grow a beard?
Yeah, exactly. What kind of food are we eating to grow a beard better?
Just everything that has a lot of, good natural nutrients, protein, good fats, and just making sure that you also use the right kind of products.
Yeah, I wanted that answer to be Jim Boy's, In-N-Out Burger, donuts, but we'll take that. Back to you.
Good kind of fats ain't fried chicken, so that rules me out. Okay, thank you to the dais, Marcus Allen, and you and Rob can get into that beard. I know Rob wants to get involved in this, so all right. He's dying to grow a beard on TV. Yeah, there's the award. Thank you all. A baseball record Friday night by an West Sacramento A? What do we even call the A's these days? The A's. Rookie Nick Kurtz. One of the best games ever. A's at Houston. He had 4 home runs in 6 at-bats. Total of 8 runs on the night. First rookie ever to have 4 homers in a game. The 20th person ever to do it in baseball. The last one to do it, Josh Hamilton in 2012. More good news for the A's fans. Kurt's historic night helped the A's sweep Houston. First time the A's have swept since mid-April. And they capped yesterday. Miguel Andujar had a bomb. A's beat Houston 7-1. An unexpected sweep in Houston because the Astros lead the American League West. All that said, the A's seem like they're kind of in the right direction now. They'll be home tonight, West Sacramento, hosting Seattle, 7 o'clock game. All right, we're going to take you now to Ontario, Canada, to meet a traveling group of super pets who've been making their presence known in Hollywood. With this story, ABC's Danny New.
This is Nibs. And this is Lollipop. Besides being extremely talented and cute, what else do they have in common? They both are members of the Ultimates.
Do you think anyone on the planet wakes up happier than you?
I don't think so, man. Look, my coworkers are amazing.
Melissa Millett here and her Ultimates, as she calls them, travel around Ontario, Canada every weekend to perform tricks they've mastered together. A trainer of 25 years, Melissa now has 9 dogs and 5 cats, with many of them making their way over to Hollywood.
I've got to fly back to London. I need you to take care of my cat.
I like cats.
I like dogs.
For example, later this month, her cat, Tonic, will be appearing in the movie Caught Stealing, starring the man you may remember as Elvis, Austin Butler.
He just petting your cat?
He did. Yeah, he was a phenomenal cat trainer.
Meanwhile, Lollipop and her best friend Sashimi have the Guinness World Record for the fastest 5-meter dog-cat scooter ride. As I found out, balance is actually just Lollipop's thing.
Hi, Lollipop.
That's what she does nonstop.
But here's one thing that might surprise you even more. Lollipop is actually deaf, as is the first dog you met, Nibs. However, here is why Melissa says that is not the biggest obstacle when training your dog.
The truth is that dogs don't speak English and they have a harder time responding to verbal cues. Hand signals are easier.
Actually, not only are 4 of the Ultimates deaf, but in fact, almost all of them are rescue animals. Like her dog Pepsi, who starred as Crypto the Super Dog in the show Titans. Pepsi was found abandoned in a snowy woodpile at 5 months old, and championing rescue animals like him has become a mission for Melissa.
In my position, it's really important it showcases the wonderful animals that you can find.
As a cat dad, I did ask Melissa how she could possibly train cats, and then I tried her lesson on my cat Pepper. Basically, it's all about rewarding your cat for following a treat. I tried it with my finger. The only problem, she did not want the reward. No pets for Pepper. She said, "No touchy, Dad." For next time, we try it again. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
All right, Danny, thanks. Coming up in a moment, top stories that we're following this morning and another look at your weather and traffic. This is an ABC10 morning news update. I'm Walt Gray. The U.S. and the European Union have reached a preliminary trade deal after a high-stakes meeting at President Trump's golf course in Scotland. Full details are still being worked out, but the deal calls for a 15% tariff on most EU exports to the U.S., with a few exceptions. Beef prices are rising, and experts say consumers shouldn't expect much relief anytime soon. Market conditions are a simple combination of high demand and low supply. There are other things contributing to high beef prices, like weather conditions and uncertainty over tariffs. And a tentative agreement has been reached between union leaders and Safeway stores across the region. This means Safeways will keep operating as usual. This morning, the agreement promises wage increases, better health care, and pension benefits. Rob.
Okay, if you're getting ready for the week, we've got more great weather. It's not going to be as cool as it's been. It's not going to be in the 80s. We're looking at a couple days here, as you could already see behind me, in the 90s. But this is normal weather for this time in July. A few more showers and thunderstorms in the high Sierra, but a lot of these are going to start and then very quickly move off into Nevada. So probably not a huge ordeal related to that, but it is absolutely a possibility. We're going to get our Delta breeze this evening. It's going to be a nice one. It's going to get us back to the 50s early tomorrow morning. But the issue here is that as we round out the last few days here in July, we're going to get another cool down back to the 80s. Now, it's upper 80s, so it's still going to be warm out there, but still, just to get into this zone anywhere near this is amazing, since we've done it so many times so far this month. Then looking ahead in the first early days of August, we're going back to the 90s, but it's the low 90s, at least through the weekend. Okay, for traffic, I don't know what's been going on today, because there hasn't been usually there's a crash on the causeway, or where people have to merge and then they don't merge, or what have you. There's just a lot of cars on the road, so it's just super slow from the causeway all the way into downtown Sacramento. So perhaps a lane shift or something like that, but at any rate, it's very slow. Tracy commute's been slow all morning. Antica Modesto, you're fine.
All right, here's what's coming up in 57 seconds. ABC 10 Plus this week. Look at the headlines you may have missed. At 8:30, Champions of Hope. ABC 10 anchor Alex Bell shares inspiring stories of everyday good happening in the Sacramento region, highlighting the positive impact of local people and events. Your California Life's at 9. After that, at 9:30, take a look, a deep dive into the new Fantastic Four movie, courtesy of our friend Marcus Allen, who's growing beards today. Shows his versatility, does it not? He could be on anything. He could be in a food eating contest tomorrow. Who knows what he's up to?
You just never know, but it's always way more interesting than you might think at first glance, right?
Yeah,
he told me about it, but then I'm like, okay, let's see.
You saying he overperforms your expectation?
Yeah,
is that what you're saying? Yeah. All right, we're going to take you out to Kings Beach, a beautiful morning up in the high country. Next news at 11 right here on ABC 10 News.